Stop. Before you scroll past this, I need you to hear something that will change how you see your land forever. Most small farmers are bleeding money quietly. Not because they are bad animals. Not because they work too little. But because they are building their farms the same way people build parking lots. Flat, spread out, one use per square foot. And that single mistake is costing them thousands of dollars a year in feed costs, wasted labor, and dead land they are literally mowing around. What if the land you already have is already enough? Not someday. Right now. What if the difference between a farm that struggles and a farm that feeds your entire family comes down to one concept most farmers were never taught? In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through the exact 7-layer stacking system that small acreage farmers are using right now to multiply their production without buying a single extra square foot of land. By the time this video ends, you will never look at your property the same way again. And the farmers who miss this? They will keep spending $2,000 a year on feed they did not need to buy. Stay with me. This is the one. Here is the problem nobody talks about honestly. You started farming with real vision. You got your chickens. Maybe you added a garden. Maybe a few goats. And somewhere along the way, everything started feeling cramped. Your coop takes one corner. Your garden takes another. Your animals need their own fenced space. And now you are convinced that what you need is more land. So you start browsing property listings at night. You are calculating what a bigger parcel would cost. You tell yourself that real food production requires real acreage. That belief is exactly what the commercial agriculture industry wants you to carry. Because as long as you think bigger land means better farming, you stay dependent on their feed bags, their supplements, their supply chain. Every month your feed bill grows, they profit, and you stay stuck. But here's what they never told you. The most productive farms in human history were not sprawling operations. They were small, tight, intentionally laid systems where every single element fed every other element. Nothing wasted, nothing idle. Every output recycled into the next input. This was not an accident. It was engineering. Ancient, brilliant, proven engineering. And you are about to learn it. Layer 1, the ground layer, chicken tractor rotation. Every stacking system starts at the ground. And nothing works at ground harder than a properly managed chicken tractor on rotation. Here's what most people miss. Your chickens are not just egg machines. They are a mobile soil improvement system. A lightweight movable enclosure rotated through your garden beds on a 2-week cycle means every bed gets scratched clean, debugged, and loaded with nitrogen-rich manure before you plant into it. No tilling. No synthetic fertilizer. No wasted effort. One homesteader running 12 hens through 6 raised beds on a 1/4 acre dropped her feed cost by 35% because her birds were foraging insects and cover crops through each rotation. Her vegetable yield nearly doubled because every bed received natural fertilization on schedule. The setup is simple. Build or buy a lightweight enclosure. Seed each bed ahead of the rotation with fast-growing cover crops like clover or rye. Move your chickens in. Let them work for 2 to 3 weeks. Then advance them to the next bed. By the time they cycle back to the start, everything has recovered and regrown. 0 chemicals. 0 tilling. 0 wasted ground. That is the floor. Now we build up. Layer 2, the vertical layer. Stacked quail systems. This is a layer that shocks every farmer the first time they see the numbers. In the physical footprint of a single washing machine, you can house 200 quail producing fresh eggs every single day. Try squeezing 40 chickens into that same space. It is physically impossible. Quail do not need pasture. They do not need floor space. They thrive in vertically stacked cage banks built along any wall, inside a shed, in a garage corner, against a fence. Each tier holds 20 to 30 birds. 4 to 6 tiers stacked vertically. A complete protein production system that uses almost no ground footprint at all. Quail reach harvest weight in 6 to 8 weeks. Their eggs sell for $6 to $8 a dozen at farmers markets. And the manure that drops into the collection trays under each tier? That is not waste. That is fuel for what comes next. Do not skip ahead. This connection is the entire point of the system. Layer 3. The recycling layer, black soldier fly larvae. This is the hidden engine most farmers never discover. And it is the reason people who run this system stop buying commercial feed. Black soldier fly larvae eat kitchen scraps, animal manure, spoiled produce, and compost material. They convert that waste into larvae that are 42% protein and 35% fat. That is higher nutritional value than most commercial feed pellets. And it costs you nothing but the waste you were already throwing away. A single well-managed bin can process 5 pounds of organic waste per day. The larvae self-harvest by crawling up a simple ramp when they reach maturity. You collect them and feed them directly back to your chickens, your quail, or your fish. Now connect the layers. That quail manure from the tier above, it goes straight into the soldier fly bin. The larvae eat the manure. You feed the larvae back to the quail. Closed loop. Free protein cycling endlessly through your system. This one layer alone cuts the average feed bill by 30 to 40%. That is real money back in your pocket every single month. Layer 4. The canopy layer. Fruit and nut trees. Most farmers think trees compete with their production space. Experienced stackers know trees create production space. A fruit or nut tree uses vertical layer that nothing else on your property is utilizing. The canopy shades your animals during summer heat, which protects egg production and animal health. The deep root system pulls nutrients from layers of soil your surface crops can never reach. And the fruit delivers a seasonal harvest that requires almost no daily labor from you once the tree matures. One farming family in Georgia planted 8 dwarf apple trees across half an acre. Beneath those trees, they run their chicken tractor rotation year-round. The chickens eat fallen fruit, windfall insects, and pest larvae around the trunks. The trees receive natural fertilization from the chicken manure below. Both systems increase each other's productivity. Choose dwarf or semi-dwarf varieties, so the canopy does not block light from your ground crops. Space them 10 to 15 feet apart. Match your variety to your climate zone. Mulberry, apple, pear, and pecan all stack exceptionally well. Position them along the edges or through the center of your rotation area so your chicken tractors can continue to move freely beneath them. Layer 5. The border layer. Rabbits on the perimeter. Every property has dead edges. Fence lines. Wall strips. Narrow borders too tight for garden beds and too awkward for animal pens. That space is not wasted anymore. Rabbit hutches stack perfectly along any fence line or exterior wall, without stealing a single square foot from your main production area. A single doe produces over 200 pounds of meat per year. 10 does running your perimeter produces over $10,000 worth of meat annually from space you were not even using before. Here is the part that makes this layer even more valuable. Rabbit manure is cold manure. It does not need composting before application. You can move it directly from the collection tray onto your garden beds without burning your plants. Position your hutches so the manure drops into collection trays that feed straight into your growing areas. 2 tiers along a 20-foot fence line houses 8 to 10 rabbits. Your border just became one of the highest producing zones on your entire property. Layer 6. The air layer. Bees above everything. Bees operate in a layer no other animal on your farm can touch. The air itself. A single hive occupies about 2 square feet of ground space. That is it. But what it delivers back into your system is far larger than that footprint suggests. A strong colony produces 30 to 100 pounds of harvestable honey per year, plus beeswax and propolis that are either sellable or useful on the homestead. But the honey is not even the real return. The pollination is. Research consistently shows that bee-pollinated gardens produce 20 to 30% higher yields than gardens without active pollinators. That means your canopy layer produces more fruit. Your cover crops establish faster. Your vegetable beds set heavier. Your entire stacking system becomes more productive simply because bees are flying through it. Place your hives on a raised stand near your fruit trees and away from high-traffic animal areas. Face the entrance toward open sky. Provide a nearby water source. 2 hives on half an acre are enough to significantly boost every other layer in your stack. 30 minutes of management per week during peak season. That is your entire time investment. The air layer connects and multiplies everything beneath it. Layer 7. The water layer. Ducks or fish in small water features. If you have any water feature on your property, a pond, a stock tank, a rain catchment basin, you are sitting on an untapped production layer. A small flock of 6 khaki Campbell ducks produces over 300 eggs per bird per year. That is 1,800 eggs annually from a system that takes up almost no additional land. Duck eggs sell for $8 to $12 a dozen at market. No water feature. A 300-gallon stock tank and tilapia fingerlings will work. Tilapia convert feed to protein at a ratio of 1.6 to 1, which is more efficient than nearly any other livestock you can raise. In warm climates, you can harvest fresh fish in 6 to 9 months on a diet of duckweed, algae, and kitchen scraps. Now close the loop. Ducks fertilize the water. Algae and duckweed grow from those nutrients. Fish consume the duckweed. You harvest the fish. The nutrient-dense water from the tank irrigates your garden beds. Every output has become an input somewhere else in the system. 7 layers, 1 property, every square foot owning its keep. The raise. I want to be honest with you for a moment, because I think it matters. 3 years ago, I was spending over $1,800 a year on commercial feed. My quarter-acre felt completely maxed out. I had chickens in one corner, a decent garden in another, a couple of rabbits I barely managed to keep fed. Half my property was dead space. Fence lines growing weeds. A shed wall with nothing but packed dirt behind it. A soggy low spot near the downspout that I just mowed around every week. I remember standing at the fence one morning genuinely convinced that the only path forward was more land. Land I could not afford. Land that would have solved nothing because the real problem was never the size of my property. It was a layout. I started small. I moved the rabbit hutches to the fence line. I built a simple chicken tractor and started rotating it through my garden beds instead of letting the birds free range all day. Within 4 months, my monthly feed cost dropped by $40. My garden yield nearly doubled. I recovered about 6 hours of weekly labor because the chickens were doing the weeding, pest control, and bed preparation I had been doing by hand. That was not theory. That was measured. Real numbers. Real time back in my week. I added quail vertically that winter. A soldier fly bin in the spring. Bees the following summer. Each new layer locked into the ones already running. And a property I had written off as maxed out started producing more food than it ever had. I did not buy more land. I stopped wasting the land I already had. Before you start, the 4 mistakes that break this system. Mistake 1 is launching all 7 layers at once. Every layer has a learning curve. Quail need daily egg collection and tray cleaning. Soldier fly bins need consistent feeding. Chickens need managed rotation. If you try to build everything simultaneously, you will be overwhelmed within 6 weeks. Add 1 layer. Stabilize it for 60 to 90 days. Then add the next. Mistake 2 is ignoring the connections between layers. Stacking is not just placing animals near each other. It is routing outputs from one system directly into the inputs of another. If your quail manure is going into a trash bag instead of your soldier fly bin, you have broken the loop. Map every output to an input before you add anything new. Mistake 3 is wrong placement. Rabbit hutches in the center of your property steal your best production ground. Beehives facing your main foot traffic create unnecessary risk. Quail stacks in full summer sun overheat your birds and crash your production. Walk your property with fresh eyes. Identify the dead zones, the unused edges, the bare walls, the wasted vertical surface. Place each layer where it fits without competing with another. Mistake 4 is skipping the ground layer entirely. Some farmers want to jump straight to quail or bees because they sound more exciting. But without the chicken tractor building soil health beneath everything else, your whole stack sits on a weak foundation. Start at the ground. Build up from there. The close. Picture your property 12 months from now. Your chicken tractor rotates through garden beds that practically prepare themselves. Quail stack vertically in the corner of your shed, producing fresh eggs daily without a square foot of ground space. Soldier fly larvae convert every scrap and dropping into free high-protein feed, cycling back through your birds. Fruit trees shade your animals in summer and deliver free harvests every fall. Rabbits line your fences producing meat and cold compostable manure for your beds. Bees work through everything in sight and push your garden yields up by 20 to 30%. A small water feature closes the final nutrient loop. Your feed bill has dropped by 40% or more. Your production per square foot has tripled. Your labor has decreased because every system is supporting every other system instead of demanding separate care. You did not go into debt. You did not wait for more land. You simply stopped thinking flat and started thinking in layers. That is the difference between a farm that barely survives and a farm that feeds your family with room to spare. Subscribe to Livestock Labs. Now here's what I need you to understand before you leave this video. Every week on Livestock Labs, we break down exactly these kinds of systems. not recycled advice from people who have never gotten their boots dirty. Real production strategies built for real small acreage farmers who want real results. The farmers who subscribed last month are already running their first layer. They are already cutting their feed bills. They are already producing more from less land. And next week, I am covering the single animal that produces the most food per square foot of any livestock on Earth. Almost nobody in the small farming world talks about it. And the farmers who know about it have a production advantage that most people never catch up to. If you are not subscribed to Livestock Labs right now, you are going to miss it. Hit subscribe. Turn the bell on. Drop a comment below telling me which layer you are starting with. Ground, vertical, recycling, canopy, border, or water. I want to know where you are starting, because this community is moving forward together. And I do not want you to be the farmer who watched this, nodded along, and went back to buying expensive feed next week. You already have enough land. You just need more layers. Subscribe to Livestock Labs. Start today.